Hello, and thank you so much for joining me for yet another episode, um, another moment of private transformation minutes. This is Dal Alfonso, and I just wanted to continue our conversation from where we left off yesterday. I'll probably give it just about a minute or two just for folks to join us and I just want to take a quick minute to recap what it was that we were discussing yesterday and then try to put some more flesh and some more meat around what it is that we're going to be talking about today. Well, the first thing is yesterday we started talking about how to handle conflict or how to handle disagreements in the context of a mentor protege relationship or a mentor mentee relationship. Yesterday we said it's important to remember that you're both humans. That means both you and your mentor or protege may disagree on something. Sometimes such disagreements could be perceived, they could be external, meaning that maybe somebody said something, or maybe something happens, or it might just be a point of disagreement. But there are always things that could stir up conflict in the context of this relationship, and it is very, very important to understand how to handle such issues, because sometimes this conflicts can spiral out of control and might even get to a point where what used to be an amazing love bound relationship could become one of anger and hate, and you don't want that to happen. So it is very important for us to understand the dynamics of how this relationship works. Now, there are a few things that I just want to put out there, which is number one. Today, I'll probably talk about five. I'll talk about five or six different things that you must pay attention to. And, this is uncut, so I'm basically just sharing from my experiences. I've had mentors all my life. I would say I've had mentors for that I would consider active mentors, someone whom I'm having a relationship with probably for maybe going on about 20 to 20 something years so far. So what I'm sharing, I will be sharing with you would be from decades of experience. Now, the first thing that I want to point out is irrespective of what the cause of the conflict is, it is important for you to communicate. You need to talk. You see, when you have a direct relationship with a mentor or with a protege, second or third parties aren't the solution. Yes, sometimes you may have to sit down with other people to try to resolve conflict, but the first point of call is for the mentor and the protege to sit down and talk. It is imperative, it is important, because there's a dynamic that puts that relationship together. And within that framework, everything that you need to resolve any kind of conflict also exists. So it is critical to sit down. It's critical to communicate. If you're not even in the same city, or you're not in a position where you can sit down face to face and talk, get on the phone or send an email or something and say, hey, you know what? I would like us to discuss this issue, because a lot of times in the course of emailing and text messages, the substance of what's being said can be lost. You can say something, and because you have to remember that when a person is upset or there's conflict, their emotions are involved, and so automatically everything that this individual says to them, it will be skewed and will be looked at from a perspective that is probably judgmental. You don't know, but emotions tend to drive perception. Emotions tend to drive perception. So it is always better to have such discussions or such communication verbally or in person if possible. That way it eliminates any undertones or any misconstrued positions, or anything that is misunderstood can be clarified during that point in time. So communication is very, very key. Number two, I will say the next thing you have to pay attention to is confidentiality. Everything that is discussed between a mentor and a protege ought to remain confidential. Now, let me tell you something. It breaks my heart to tell you that I've had proteges, I've had mentors, and even proteges who have come to share very confidential things about other people with me. To me, it's disturbing because it equally tells me, who else could you be talking to about me? Because in the context of that relationship, I want to be open. I want to be transparent. I want you to see exactly who I am, to the best of my ability and to the best of my comfort. But when a person is comfortable coming to share things about other people, it also causes me to question, their character with regards to other people. So confidentiality is something that is very, very, very important. The things that you discuss, especially during the course of a conflict, it doesn't matter what is right, wrong, or whatever it is important for it to remain confidential. It is between the two of you. If there's a group of people that need to be brought in to mitigate or to mediate in the course of this discussion, you have to be sure that these are people that both of you will be comfortable with. It is not a one-sided thing. You have to be able to have a measure of trust that says, okay, everything that is discussed in this room, stays in this room, and it is geared and focused towards resolving the one issue that is at stake here. So confidentiality is a very, very important attribute that must be brought into any kind of conflict that needs to be resolved. Number 3, you have to be open-minded, meaning you have to be ready to see things from the other person's point of view, or you have to be ready to see things from a viewpoint besides yours. Why? Because what brings about conflict is not unity. What brings about conflict is division, meaning that things are being there's a clash or a conflict. There's a clash or conflict of agreement or interest in specific subject matters, and how those things are viewed typically will determine if you get along or not. So the key point I want to bring out here is that you have to be open-minded. That means even if it is something that is brought about by a third party or an external influence, why not give it a benefit of doubt? If someone comes and says something to you about your protege or your mentor, this person, you've vested your time, energy, you've vested your life into this person, either to teach them or to learn from them. So why not give it the extra benefit of doubt to, say, let me talk to this person first and hear what they have to say. There are always 2 or more sides to every story. If you know a person, and even if your protege or your mentor is guilty, still give them the benefit of doubt. Still give them, the honor of at least talking about it first, before you draw your conclusions. But open-mindedness is very important, because once you become closed-minded, that means you've already shut down yourself to communication, and you've already started breaching on something that is fundamental to this relationship, which is called trust. Now, the other person may have done something that has breached the trust in the course of that relationship, but it does not change the fact that you still have to be open-minded until when you've seen the full spectrum of what's going on, and then you need to make an informed decision. The next thing you have to think about is honesty. Honesty is you being truthful with the other person. Too often, our emotions, we tend to guard our emotions. We tend to be very careful about how we address issues with people. We tend to be politically correct, or we try to avoid things that will hurt the feelings of other people. Sometimes it's necessary for you to be blunt, and in other cases, sometimes it's good to be gentle. In other cases, maybe just be diplomatic about it. You have to know how best to approach it. Now, let me give you a classic example. I had a situation where I had a conflict with a mentor, somebody who I had looked up to severely, but it took me months. To be able to get to that point of, let me say, even muster courage, as it were, to to confront my mentor about what concerns that I had. But you see, while those months were going by, I was living a lie. Let me use that word. I was living a lie because I come around my mentor, I smile, I'm all go and giddy and happy and like, hey, all the world is perfect, but inside of me I was dying. So that transparent side of our relationship ceased to exist. So being honest is very, very important. It's important for you to come up and say, hey, you know what, this is what I heard. And I think part of it is because you don't want to be judged, or you don't want to come across as if you're being judgmental. But you see, once you begin to create a toxic environment where there is no longer honesty, there's no longer transparency, what it does is that it begins to put a fog around your judgment and the way you do things. All of a sudden, you may be there, but you are not there. And all of you find out that you're no longer learning. Once honesty is taken out of the equation of any relationship, irrespective of the conflict that is going on, you'll find yourself not being able to learn. So honesty is very, very, very important. And I think that's where you have to be wise on how to broach the subject, either with your protege or with your mentor, depending on the situation. Even with your peers, in the course of a relationship, how do you broach the subject? There's a way to approach things with an open mind that they will know that you're not being judgmental, but you just want to seek, the health and the well-being of that relationship simply by wanting a platform where you both can be honest with each other. And I will tell you the truth. If the person's response is contrary to what your expectation was, or if they come across as negative or as either come across as negative or they come across as hostile, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you still need to take a step back, because you must never forget this. Never forget this. Every relationship is by choice. Every relationship is by choice. So nobody forced you into that relationship, so nobody can force you to stay in it. You make a choice based on the value that you get from that relationship, and you stay in it, or you choose to leave it. If you remember when I was talking about some of the benefits of a relationship, I talked about that. I talked about one thing you can do in dealing with mentors, that is that you have to take the meat and throw out the bones. So in this context, are you willing to overlook the cause of conflict in order for you to continue to learn, or are you willing to ignore the issue that's at stake in order for you to continue to impart? It's your choice. The mentorship relationship is always a choice. Every relationship for that matter is a choice. Even our relationship with God is a choice. So you can choose to love God, you can choose not to love him. You can choose to hate God, you can choose not to have him. The greatest thing you have in life is something called a choice, and nobody can take that or exercise that for you. If you're doing something that is against your will, you chose to do it because you feel you don't have a choice, but in reality you do. You're probably just unwilling to pay the price for the choice that you're supposed to make. So it is very, very important, like I said, to be honest. Honesty is key. Honesty is fundamental in resolving conflict in the course of a mentorship relationship. And then the fifth point I want to make is give it time. Time is very, very, very key. You see, you don't resolve, especially in conflicts that breach trust, or especially in conflicts where it creates it breeds a memory that is negative. Let me explain what I mean. A memory is simply an experience that is wrapped in an emotion. That emotion could be joy, it could be happiness. Now think about it. Let me give you an example. If I were to ask you, what did you eat for lunch 5 days ago? Except if you remember that you are fasting, most likely you won't even remember what you had for lunch. Why? Because it's just any other, there's nothing emotional about food, except if you're one of those people you've not had any, and then 5 days ago you went to lunch, you went to a buffet, and you decided today I'm going to hurt myself. But if that's not the case, you most likely not even remember what you had for lunch. You may not even remember, what you what you were even wearing. Why? Because those things aren't that important. But you can remember the last time somebody embarrassed you. It doesn't matter. You can remember the last time somebody cursed you out in the front of your kids, or your boss maltreated you. You can remember every detail of it. Why? Because it was an experience that was wrapped in an emotion, and so naturally our mind takes that experience and stores it in our brain somewhere and calls it memory. And so anytime there's a likeness of any thing that seems close, we go in there like a computer, retrieve that data and reprocess it. And then naturally that emotion tends to begin to replay itself. It could be embarrassment, it could be fear, it could be anxiety. Why? Because that is an emotion wrapped around, or rather that's a memory, or that's an experience wrapped in an emotion called a memory. So now what I'm saying in essence is that it is important to give it time. Give it time to heal. Give it time for trust to be reestablished. Give it time, for things to get back the way they were. You see, when trust is breached, it doesn't matter at what platform, the greatest healer would be ensuring that you've communicated and you're back on the same platform, and then from that point on your actions will speak much, much louder than your words. But even that is not enough without the element of time being given to it. So don't forget, any relationship does have the prospects and the opportunities for conflict, no matter what it is. You see, because why this is so critical is because depending on how long you've had that relationship with your mentor or with your protege, it is your life's work that has been invested into it. And so it is very, very important for you not to lose all that has been vested. Because a simple act of arrogance, a simple act of pride, a simple act of miscommunication can throw away years and years worth of work. All right. And I'm not just speaking, lightly about this. I'm speaking from my life's experience. There was a time where, and let me close this session with this. There was a time where I was very angry with somebody who I had looked up to as a mentor. He was like the greatest thing that had ever happened to me for 3 years. For 3 years, I was actively involved with this person at a very, very close level. And then we disagreed on something as simple as where I needed to be to pursue my life's work. Because he did not believe that I'm supposed to be going to America, and I believe that I'm supposed to be going to America, and that was the reason why we fell apart. And you will not believe this, that from the year 1999, all the way to 2011, 12 years, we were not even in contact. In fact, it got to a point where third-party hearsay caused me to even just abhor him. I mean, it got to a point where I just did not even want to hear the mention, of his name, until a good friend of mine, here in Chicago, began to tell me, I think you need to revisit that relationship. And thank God I did. And thank God I did, because today some of the challenges that I'm facing in life, or that I have faced in life, some of the hardest decisions that I have had to make. In fact, to be honest with you, if I had not rekindled or revisited and restored that relationship with this individual, I won't be talking to you today. I will not even have come to find out that I'm supposed to be more focused on working on private transformation. I would have been busy doing something else with my life at this time. So it is very important for you to remember these 5 elements. Number 1, communicate. Number 2, keep everything in confidence, confidentiality. I'm not saying being secretive. I mean keeping things in confidence. What is discussed between you remains between you. Number 3, be open-minded. Be willing to see things from the other person's viewpoint. Be willing to look for solutions besides your own. Number 4, honesty must be the bedrock of your relationship. Be willing to tell the person the truth. Be willing to accept and hear the truth. You may not like it, you may not enjoy it, even if you don't agree with it. Be willing to hear the truth. And then lastly, it is also very important for you to give it time. Time is time is the measure of life. All right. So I want to say thank you so much once again for joining me for yet another moment of Private Transformation Minutes. I hope that this session has been a blessing to you. And if you have any questions, please feel free to inbox it to us or shoot me an email or send it to me on my personal account. It doesn't matter. And I'll try to address them or even post them, to the comment boxes in this video, so that way we can be able to address them and also allow other people to benefit from it. So, and please share this video. Don't sign off without sharing. Share this video with other people around you so that they can learn from it, and be sure to connect to our Facebook page, Private Transformation. Good things are happening. We're posting a lot of materials and looking forward to starting our live workshops and training in 2017. And I hope you can be a part of it, and looking forward to being and coming into one of your cities. So go to our page, www.privatetransformation.com, and sign up, and be sure to share this information with other people. So same time tomorrow, 12:30. The next 3 days, I'm going to focus on talking about how to build credible relationships. How to build credible relationships. We'll talk about building a relationship with yourself, because that's the foundation. Most people don't realize that. Building credible relationships offline and offline, and all these things need to come in and interplay. So thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Have a good day.